So thank you very much, dear learners, for joining the live class with me, Faisal Ahmed, faculty member, Department of English, World University of Bangladesh. And today is the 12th week of the course, 20th Century English Literature. The course code which is ENG 1007, and you're the learners of MA or Masters in English 2 years, or preliminary and final. So this is the last week of this course, and hopefully you're going to finish this semester with this course and other courses that you have been assigned with me and other teachers as well. So today, though it's the last week, but you're gonna learn a new lesson in this week. Let me share what actually we're gonna learn. The new thing, the new poem by a new poet who is Dylan Thomas, and his poem is Do Not Go Gentle Into the Good Night. So a very nice evening to all of you. So let me show you in full screen mode of the slideshow in PowerPoint presentation. So before that, I need to change it. Okay, that's fine. So I'm not gonna continue this line for this class for long, as already it's too late in the class due to some technical issues and other issues as well that I can share with you. Okay. So Do Not Go Gentle Into the Good Night, written by Dylan Thomas. And Dylan Thomas is also an English poet, okay, very famous. So this poem, actually, the title of the poem used as a figurative one or metaphoric one, which conveys a deep meaning or underlying meaning, and that is, do not go gentle. That means do not accept death very easily, okay? So this poem is deal to with death, okay? Human being, the most two important thing that human being encounters, okay, are death and birth. Okay, so death and birth are very most important thing for human beings or all other animals, but specifically for human beings. So human beings are divided into 4 parts in this poem, and especially death is dealt in this poem. And what actually Dylan Thomas would like to say or express throughout the poem about death, and what is the meaning of death, and what we should do in that case while we are just in the verge of death. Okay, so that is the message conveyed throughout the whole poem. And the poem structure is very short, simple, and very organized, okay, in a villanelle structure, which is like 5 stanzas of 3 lines or tercets, and 1 stanza of 4 lines or quatrains. So altogether, this poem consists of 19 lines, okay? So 19 lines. So that is the structure, and this kind of structure is called villanelle, right? So I think you have got the idea about the poem and the title as well, that this poem is about dealing with death, that we should not suicide or we should not accept death very easily. Rather, we should fight against death to survive. and to leave a footprint or mark before we die. That is the main or major or central theme or idea of the poem conveyed by speaker or the poet Dylan Thomas. Though we can mingle the speaker with poet. Poet is a different person, and poet has created a speaker who tells the story, okay, that is we find in the poem or any play or novel. So in this lesson, you will going to learn introduction to the poem. Do not go gentle into the good night with a background, a brief synopsis of the poem, poem recitation with text analysis, poem and style already. A few things I have already, within few words or sentences I have already expressed or told you. So and at last, with a critical commentary, we will finish this class. So do not go gentle. Here is the introduction. Into the Good Night was initially published literary journal in 1951. That means 70 years back, this poem was written and published in literary journal. And after that year, Dylan Thomas published it in a volume of poetry. So it is a nice, noticeably dark poem. Why dark? Because it deals with death, the bitter truth or the paradox of human life, concerning itself with the end of life and the personal struggle to hang on to that life or for survival as long as possible. Fans of Dylan Thomas have speculated that the poem was written for his ailing father. That means it's not actually exact message, but we can assume that the death of Dylan Thomas's father, okay, gave a feeling into her heart, and he was so emotional that he started writing this poem, and that's why we got this poem, okay, related to death. So Dylan Thomas's father, or the speaker's father, the speaker in the poem, so speaker's father who passed away the year after the poem was first published. But without clear evidence, it's important to consider the speaker as separate from the poet. So a brief synopsis, Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas is a moving poem. It will move your love. It will move your heart. It will move your soul. Okay? It moved through this poem if you can understand this. Why? Because it deals with death, and that is the truth for all living beings. And that defines death and tells readers to defy it and rage against it for as long as possible. And this kind of line repeated in the poem. So rage, that means fight against death. Don't accept it while it arrives, up to you. Okay? So fight against it and try to keep you alive and struggle for your survival. And that is the message of this poem. And also another message, very important, which is we all human beings shouldn't die without doing any remarkable thing for our next generation. Okay? If we die by living, sleeping, and enjoying, okay, or through this kind of all types of entertainment, okay, so our life will be darkened through our death, and our future generation will never commemorate or remember us. So we all should leave a footmark or a memory for our next generation, or we should do something remarkable throughout which our next generation can remember us. Okay, so this is the summary of the poem. So now, summary, I think, continues. The speaker spends most of the poem telling readers, and it as it turns out, their own father not to give into death peacefully and calmly. The same thing repeated here, already I have told you. One shouldn't just accept that it's coming and go to it willingly. Good people resist until the last moment, knowing that there's more that they could to improve the world. The same can be said for daring and energetic people who know how exciting and beautiful life can be. So life is a gift, life is a beautiful thing, and life is an amazing thing. So we should fight for our survival, and we should do something which can make the world better than the contemporary circumstances. Okay, so we should do something to make the world better and to do something for our next generation so that they can remember us. Without doing any remarkable thing, we should not accept death, we should not reach death, and we should not die. So I think this poem will move anyone who can understand. So the same can be said for daring and energetic people who know how excited and beautiful life can be. In the final stanza, the speaker turns to address someone personal in their lives. And who is that personal one? He is the poet's father, or the speaker's father, who is at his dying moment. I mean, he is going to die in his deathbed. So this person is facing old age, very normal death, but still the poet encourages his father not to accept death very easily and willingly. Fight it, and fight it. So that means he repeated this line in a very aesthetic way, in a poetic style, that is rage against the dark like everyone else. Rage against the dying of the light. So light is the life and dying is the death. So let's recite the poem with analysis. So here is stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3, stanza 4, stanza 5. And these 5 stanzas consist of 6 lines each. And the 6th and the last stanza consists of 4 lines. So altogether 19 lines, 1 less than 20. Okay. So in this poem, so let's recite it, then we will discuss more. So do not go gentle into the good night. All they should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their inn know dark is right, because their words and fogs know lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good man, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late the grief did on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Brave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your face stares, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. So that's the recitation of the poem. I just tried my best to recite it at a very aesthetic way with a very grave and standard tone. So I think this poem is very easy with simple words, rhythms, and very organized and nice structure. And I think is very easy to understand as well to you. Okay. So the principal idea for this poem is that human beings should resist death with all of their strength before the end. Do not go gentle into the good night is an example and probably the most famous English example of a villanelle. This is a literary pattern of poetry which is called villanelle, and this type of poem consists this, follow this structure which actually applied in this poem and which is applied by Dylan Thomas and many other French poets also previously used this pattern of poetry. And so Dylan Thomas, the modern poet, who also imitated this pattern of the poem, okay, a pattern of design, a style, okay. So just focus. Stanza 2, I just wrote wise man, okay. Why? This is the introduction. Stanza 1 is introduction. In the introduction, already he figuratively told us that do not go gentle. That means don't accept death very easily. Okay. Old age should burn and rave at close of it. That means if we reach at old age, even at that time, we shouldn't accept death willingly or easily. Okay. Even at our old age, we should fight against the dying of the light. Okay. In a very aesthetic way, he said, rage against the dying of the light. This line repeated three times. 1, 2, in third stanza, and in fifth stanza. 3 times. Okay, so 4 times. In last stanza also it's repeated. Rage against the dying of the light. So this line is repeated. And from the second stanza, the body of the poem has been found, and the body is divided into 4 parts, and that 4 parts belong to human being. And Mr. Dylan Thomas, or the speaker of the poem, divided the human being, we or us, okay, into 4 different categories. The first category is wise man. The second category is good man. The third category is wild man. And the fourth category is grave man in stanza 5. Okay. So this 4th category, Mr. Dylan Thomas categorized human being. Okay, in 4 categories, because all human beings are not same. Some people are foolish, some people are wise, some people are wild, some people are grave. That means before their death, they die so many times. How? Because they're coward, or they are scared of death, or they are scared of any adventures or any courageous activities. Okay, they are not heroes, they are cowards. So those people actually are brave people. They are scared of death. And the wise people are very full of wisdom. They are educated, enlightened. Okay, these people actually make a balance in life. They learn themselves, they also teach others, and they leave footmarks or remarkable things for the next generation. These are the wise men. And good men who actually do good deeds. They are just against the bad men. Okay. And the wild men are desperate people. Sometimes they do something desperate thing. Good desperate thing, or sometimes they're involved into some bad crime or sinful activities or some desperate activities. They are wild men. They are like storm. Okay. They are like desperate and crazy. So they are called wild men. And the great men are like the dying people, or those who actually die before their death because of fear, of cowardice, and other activities which are actually against courageousness. So they are great men. Okay, they are similar to the died people. Okay, already who already died, or who are very close to death, or who actually are very timid and very cowardice. Okay, So, and stanza 6 is the conclusion. In the conclusion, he mentioned his father, my father, in the first person, and you. Second person he also used, and again first person he used, my father. That means speaker's father, excuse me. So, cars, blaze, everything he has got from his fathers. That's why he said cars and blaze together. And pray. We all pray for our fathers, and the same thing happens to the speaker of this poem or the poet of this poem. Okay. So again, the last line, I mean the ending line, ends with the same repeated verse. That means rage, rage against the dying of the light. So, okay. So this form first, villanelli is a pattern. I mean, this type of poetry is called villanelli, the structure, which is first introduced or conceived in 17th century France. Okay, then it was imitated in English poetry by English poets or other poets. So, symbols in the poem that we have found in Do Not Go Gentle Into the Good Night, Dylan Thomas uses light, meteors, and lightning as symbols. Okay, 3 symbols he used in this poem. So, and only to depict the life. So these 3 things together indicate or imply life, okay, which is against death or opposite to death. Okay, so light, we all know what does light mean. Meteors is like something heavenly, I mean heavenly stuff just falling into the earth, like a lightning, like a very forceful thing, okay, like rocket. But that's not rocket, that's an object, stays in the space, suddenly falls into the ground, into the earth. That is meteors, okay? And lightning is the light or one kind of electricity that actually happens while two body of cloud crashes, okay, crash in the open sphere, I mean the sky, okay? Then lightning happens, bijli. So meteors উল্কা বলে এটাকে, লাইট দ্বারা বাতি বা আলোকে বোঝায়। তো তিনটাই হচ্ছে জীবনকে মূলত রিপ্রেজেন্ট করে, লাইফ। These 3 symbols represent life. Okay, light is the most important symbol used in this poem. It symbolizes a will to live, বেঁচে থাকার একটা ইচ্ছাকে এটা symbolize করে, and a desire to change the world for the better. অর্থাৎ যারা enlightened, যারা নিজেরাও আলোকিত, যারা অন্যদেরকেও আলোকিত করে, তার মানে আলোকিত মানুষ যারা, তাদেরই এই গুণটা থাকে। ওয়াইজ ম্যান যারা, হ্যাঁ, মিটার্স ওয়াইল্ড ম্যানদের মধ্যে থাকে, এটা উল্কা পিণ্ডের মতো আর কি। In lines 13 through 14, the poet describes great men near death and how blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. So great men, তারা হঠাৎ করে মৃত্যুর আগের সময় হয়তো অনেকটা নাড়াচাড়া দিয়ে উঠে, কিন্তু তখন অনেক দেরি হয়ে যায়। ওকে, সো তখন তাদের আর কিছু করার থাকে না। They can still experience joy, তারপরেও তারা জীবনটাকে উপভোগ করে, আনন্দ করে, কিন্তু শেষ মুহূর্তে তারা কিছু করে যেতে পারে না, কোনো ফুটপ্রিন্ট রেখে যেতে পারে না। হ্যাঁ, so experience joy like a bright flash across the sky. The meteor symbolizes hope and the potential for, so এটা এক ধরনের আশা তারপরেও আমাদের মধ্যে সঞ্চার করে। যেমন কোনো বাবা যদি কিছু করতে না পারে, তখন সে একটা আশা করে যে তার সন্তান বা পরবর্তী প্রজন্ম তারা হয়তো কিছু একটা করবে, এই ধরনের একটা হোপ সিম্বলাইজ করে। ওকে, সেটা ভিন্ন ভাবেও এটাকে এক্সপ্লেন করা যায়, তো আমি এভাবেই করলাম। ওকে, সো লাইটনিং এটা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করছে ইন্সপিরেশন, অনুপ্রেরণা এবং পাওয়ার। হ্যাঁ, লাইটনিং এর মধ্যে একটা ইলেকট্রিক পাওয়ার থাকে, অনেক সময় এটার দ্বারা মানুষ বজ্রপাতে মারাও যায়। ঠিক আছে, সো এই লাইটনিং বা বিজলি বজ্র এটা পাওয়ারকে ইন্ডিকেট করে। মানুষের মধ্যে এরকম একটা পাওয়ার থাকে, হ্যাঁ পাওয়ার আছে, তো সেই পাওয়ারটা অনেকে কাজে লাগাতে পারে, আবার অনেকে পারে না। সো থমাস এনগেজেস, এবার আমরা থিম নিয়ে আলোচনা করি। এখানে তিনটা থিমের কথা বলা হয়েছে: ডেথ, ডিফায়েন্স এবং ওল্ড এজ। সো বার্ধক্য, মৃত্যু এবং কোনো কিছুর সাথে ফাইট করা। ডিফায়েন্স মানে হচ্ছে কোনো কিছুর সাথে ফাইট করা, কোনো কিছুকে অবাধ্য, কোনো কিছু ব্যাপারে অবাধ্য হওয়া। ওকে, কোনো কিছু মেনে না নেওয়া। হ্যাঁ, ডিফায়েন্স মানে উপেক্ষা করা। So all three of these themes are wrapped up in the speaker's declarations about death and how one should confront it. মানে কিভাবে মানুষ মৃত্যুকে মোকাবেলা করবে, কনফ্রন্ট মানে মোকাবেলা করা বা চ্যালেঞ্জ করা, সেই বিষয়টা আর কি এই তিনটা থিম দ্বারা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করছে। Throughout the first 5 stanzas of the poem, the speaker spends the lines generally talking about death and how one should stand up in the face of it. One should not go gentle into the darkness. Darkness should not go gentle. তার মানে should not easily or willingly accept. Darkness means, or the night means, night symbolizes darkness. রাত মানেই তো অন্ধকার, তাই না? আর অন্ধকারটা কাকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করছে? মৃত্যুকে, ডেথকে। সো আমাদের উচিত না, আর জেন্টেল দ্বারা এখানে বোঝাচ্ছে উইলিংলি অ্যাকসেপ্ট করাটাকে কবি এখানে এটা রূপকর্থে ব্যবহার করেছেন, ডু নট গো জেন্টল ইনটু দ্যাট গুড নাইট। তার মানে মৃত্যুকে আমাদের সহজভাবে ইচ্ছাকৃতভাবে গ্রহণ করে নেওয়াটা উচিত নয়, এর সাথে আমাদের ফাইট করা উচিত এবং এর বিরুদ্ধে আমাদেরকে লড়াই করা উচিত এবং আমাদেরকে সার্ভাইভ করা উচিত, এবং আমরা কোনো রিমার্কেবল বা উল্লেখযোগ্য কোনো কিছু পরবর্তী প্রজন্মের জন্য, পৃথিবীকে আরো সুন্দর করে রাখার জন্য, মানুষের জীবনটা যাতে আরো সুন্দর করে লিড করতে পারে, এই ধরনের উল্লেখযোগ্য কোনো অবদান না রেখে আমাদের কারোরই মৃত্যুবরণ করা উচিত নয়। আদারওয়াইজ আমরা ব্যক্তি লেভেলে হয়তো অনেক কিছু উপভোগ করব, কিন্তু আমাদের মৃত্যুর সাথে সাথে আমাদের নাম ধাম সবকিছুই অন্ধকার হয়ে যাবে, ডার্কনেসে পতিত হবে, কেউই আমাদেরকে মনে করবে না। এটাই মূলত এই কবিতার মেসেজ। So one should not go gentle into the darkness but rage or fight against the dying of the light. That means the death. Okay, আলো নিভে যাওয়া আর কি, হ্যাঁ, মৃত্যু। So despite these, the poet acknowledges that death is universal. মানে ডেথটা, মৃত্যুটা সার্বজনীন, মানে এটা সকলেরই হচ্ছে, সবারই হচ্ছে, সবখানে হচ্ছে, কিন্তু এটাকে সহজভাবে মেনে নেওয়া ঠিক নয়। এবং অনেকে আছে যারা মৃত্যুর আগেই মরে যায়, তাদেরকে শেক্সপিয়ার তার একটা নাটকে বলেছেন, কাওয়ার্ডস ডাই মেনি টাইমস বিফোর দেয়ার ডেথ। মানে কাপুরুষেরা তাদের আসল মৃত্যুর আগেই বহুবার তারা মারা যায়। ওকে, সো এখানে এই কবিতাও সেম ডাইলান থমাস তার স্পিকারের মাধ্যমে আমাদেরকে মেসেজ দিয়েছেন যে মৃত্যুর আগেই মৃত্যুবরণ করা ঠিক নয়, যেটা আমাদের মানুষদের মধ্যে অনেক আবেগী মানুষ আছেন বা অনেক ধার্মিক মানুষ আছেন যারা মৃত্যুর আগেই মরে যায় তারা। হ্যাঁ, লাইফকে ওইভাবে তারা উপভোগও করতে পারে না, অথবা পরবর্তী প্রজন্মের জন্য এই পৃথিবীকে আরো সুন্দর করার জন্য তারা কোনো অবদানও রেখে যেতে পারে না। ওকে, so there's no way for someone to avoid death forever. মৃত্যুকে আসলে এড়িয়ে যাওয়া সম্ভব নয় কখনো, আর এটা ভেবে আমাদের মন খারাপ করার কিছু নেই, বরং এটাও একটা সুন্দর, মৃত্যুটাও একটা সুন্দর। মৃত্যু না হলে হয়তো জীবন আরো বোরিং হয়ে যেত, মৃত্যু আছে বলে জীবন এত সুন্দর, এত ঐশ্বর্যময়, এতটা ব্রিলিয়ান্ট এবং এতটা ডিজায়ারেবল। হ্যাঁ, মৃত্যু না থাকলে জীবন এত ডিজায়ারেবল হতো না। So it's always going to catch up in the end. The speaker tries to teach the reader, and it turns out one specific person how to deal with death. তো এখানে একটা ব্যক্তিকে উনি স্পিকার এখানে বিশেষভাবে নিয়েছেন মৃত্যুকে ডিল করার জন্য, সেটা সেই ব্যক্তির হচ্ছেন তার ফাদার। এবং ইভেন আমাদের বার্ধক্যের বয়সে যখন আমরা জানবো যে মৃত্যু আমাদের জন্য অনিবার্য, ঠিক ওই সময়টাতেও আমাদের উচিত নয় মৃত্যুকে সহজভাবে মেনে নেওয়া। আমাদের সবসময় বিলিভ করতে হবে যে এটা প্রকৃতির সিস্টেম, কিন্তু প্রকৃতির সাথে ফাইট করার মতো কিছু ক্ষমতা বা উইজডম বা বিজ্ঞতাও আমাদের মধ্যে আছে, বা আমরা নেচার থেকে পেয়েছি। তো সেটার দ্বারা হয়তো আমরা এই যে বার্ধক্য আসা, সেটাকেও ঠেকাতে আমরা পারি। বার্ধক্যের সময় অনেকে দেখা যায় যৌবক থাকে বা যৌবন ধরে রাখতে পারে, এবং তারা মৃত্যুর সাথে ফাইট করে এবং তারা বেঁচে যায়। হয়তো একটা সময় ডেথ হয় তাদের, কিন্তু সেই ডেথের আগে তারা রিমার্কেবল কিছু একটা করে যায় বা কোনো অবদান রেখে যায়। So it's not until the last stanza of the poem, okay, তো শেষ স্ট্যান্জা না হওয়া পর্যন্ত আমরা বুঝতে পারি না যে কবি আসলে কাকে এখানে মিন করেছেন, তার ফাদারকে এখানে উল্লেখ করেছেন। of the poem that the subject goes from broad to specific, হ্যাঁ, ব্যাপক ধারণা থেকে একদম স্পেসিফিক ধারণা চলে গেছে। তার বাবার মৃত্যু নিয়ে এখানে ডিল করেছে, যদিও এখানে বাবার মৃত্যু নিয়ে ডিল করেছে, কিন্তু এখানে বিশাল ব্যাপক একটা মানব জীবনের একটা মেসেজ বা ফিলোসফি আমাদের জন্য ডায়লন থমাস রেখে গেছেন, যার কারণে ডায়লন থমাস মৃত্যুর পরেও নিভে যাননি। তাকে এখনো মানুষ মনে করছে, তার কবিতা পড়ে মানুষ এখনো শিক্ষা গ্রহণ করছে এবং অনেক বেশি উৎসাহিত হচ্ছে, এনকারেজড হচ্ছে, আরো enlightened হচ্ছে। It becomes clear that the poet is addressing his or her father and had him in mind the whole time. The poem is at once universal and specific. It applies to everyone, but at this moment it is for one person, the speaker's father. So with this, as the end of this lesson of week 12 and also the last week of this semester for this course with me. So, and I'd like to say you farewell as well throughout this week's live class, okay? So next week, we have no class or no live class or no lecture materials. You need to complete any activities, okay? So probably from the next semester, while you get new courses with new teachers, okay? Then you again have to do some new things similarly like this, okay? So for now and for this semester, goodbye to you. So if you have any saying, then you can say to me. We have only 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Just you are just finishing this course, and your lecture already clear that about the do not go gently into the good night. Here you say something that Dylan Thomas uses some kinds of paradox. That is, he indicates good night. Good night means he indicates death, but he uses good and night.
Mm-hmm.
And also he mentioned that light means that is life or something like these positive things. But here why he mentioned good night, it is the message that we do not think about the negative side of the date, but we have to think about the
exactly
that is a positive side or something like that. We don't think about the negative side of the date. We have to be prepared to make something delighted or something positive for the new generation. It is the message probably he mentioned here. Okay, sir?
Exactly. I think you got the main point. What about
thank you,
BT and Tavinda? What about you? Have you got the central theme or the idea or concept of the poem? But still you are struggling to understand? Have you got any saying or not? Just as usual, you wouldn't like to say anything. So now we can finish the class here. So Is there any question? Have you got any question or not? No questions. Okay, then thank you very much. Keep well.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
And good night.
We hope next semester we will meet you. Thank you.
Inshallah. Good night, sir. Bye-bye.